Bill Gates is best known as the co-founder of Microsoft Corporation, and from 1995 to 2017, he held the Forbes title of the richest person in the world all but 4 of those years. In 2017, he was surpassed by Amazon founder and CEO Jeff Bezos, and has since been the second wealthiest person on the planet with an estimated fortune of $115 billion. But just like anyone else, Gates wants to earn a return on his fortune, and investing in stocks is one way to do so. His portfolio is worth about $17 billion, and in today's video we are going to take a closer look at the stocks he has invested in. Since the 8th and 9th largest positions of the portfolio are so similar and make up nearly the same amount, they share a spot on our list. FedEx makes up 2.11% while UPS sits at 2.44%, and since they are both package delivery services, they are obviously closely linked and play an equally important role in today's society, especially with online shopping and home delivery currently being more popular than ever. In the age of e-commerce, both FedEx and UPS will of course continue to play an important role in the future, making this a pretty solid investment since they will only grow in the future. Amazon is obviously a big competition for these two and will most likely overtake them in the future, but as mentioned earlier, Gates' foundation also owns shares in Amazon. The global e-commerce giant only makes up 0.68% of the portfolio though, coming in at number 13, but it shows that Gates has pretty much the whole package delivery industry covered, especially in the United States. The 5th largest holding with 11.2 million shares for a market value of nearly $1.4 billion is Caterpillar Incorporated, the world's largest manufacturer of machinery. This is probably the only stock that doesn't quite fit into the defensive portfolio because this one is obviously easily affected by periods of poor economic growth and recessions when new constructions pretty much come to a halt. So Caterpillar is a quite cyclical business because the demand for new construction machinery will obviously plummet if no new constructions are happening. However, with the population currently growing, new buildings will continue to be in demand, so there will more likely be an increase in construction over the next decade or so, which means this stock is probably a pretty good idea in the long run. With the foundation holding 11.2 million shares worth $1.4 billion, Caterpillar currently makes up 7.5% of the portfolio. Before we really get into it, it should be mentioned that the portfolio is technically not Bill Gates' private portfolio we are talking about, but the one for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which he founded and chairs with his wife. And interestingly enough, the portfolio is not actually managed by Gates himself, but a man called Michael Larson, who is the chief investment officer for the foundation. However, Gates is surely involved in major decisions as well as the strategy for the portfolio, which is quite diversified and defensive, designed to preserve wealth and get a modest return. This means most of the investments are made in fairly stable stocks that are sure to perform regardless of the ups and downs of the economy. Owning shares in Waste Management might not sound very interesting, but this one makes absolute sense given the defensive all-weather strategy behind this portfolio. The foundation owns over 18.6 million shares with a market value of around $1.7 billion, which is about 10% of their portfolio. This company deals with collecting waste and recyclables and processing them, of course. And since there will be waste that needs to be collected no matter what the economy is doing, this is another safe bet. The company's revenue has been slowly but steadily growing over years, so this is a very stable stock that will make sure the foundation's wealth is not only well preserved, but also steadily growing. Those of you who kept up with the numbers are aware that we only covered a little over 50% of the portfolio so far, even though there's only one position left. This is no mistake, as the biggest position, interestingly enough, makes up for 47.32% of the entire portfolio. The top holding is Berkshire Hathaway, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation owns 50 million shares, valued at over $11 billion. While the amount of shares may be surprising, the fact that it is the biggest holding is not, since Bill Bill Gates is on the board of the company and can often be seen going mattress shopping with the chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett. It may seem like a pretty big chunk of the portfolio that is tied up in this one company, but it actually fits into the diversified strategy quite well because Berkshire Hathaway have numerous wholly owned businesses such as Geico, BNSF Railway, or Berkshire Hathaway Energy. In addition to that, they also hold minor positions in a lot of other companies like Coca-Cola, Apple, American Express, and Bank of America, among others. So the foundation actually bought into many businesses with the share in Berkshire Hathaway. Under normal circumstances, it would seem pretty risky to have one company make up such a large amount of your portfolio, but Berkshire Hathaway is so diversified itself and owns so many companies across different sectors, some of which are key companies for the economy, that this was again a pretty smart move for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, as it will make sure that their wealth is preserved and continues to grow in the future. Since the top 10 positions in the portfolio make up nearly 95% of it, we will only take a closer look at those. But you might be interested in knowing that Bill Gates' foundation owns some shares in Amazon and Apple, among others, and has recently built fresh positions in Google's Alphabet and China's e-commerce giant Alibaba, though none of them make it into the top 10. The 10th largest position of the portfolio is held by a company called Schrödinger Incorporated, which most of you might never have heard of. This is one of the more risky positions in the portfolio, as you will see as the list goes on, because this company is more technology based. They actually develop software for computational chemistry and have collaborative and internal drug discovery programs. Their platforms are designed to help scientists and researchers construct compounds on a computer with experimental accuracy on properties such as binding, affinity, and solubility. So, Schrödinger develops these software programs and then looks to sell them to pharmaceutical companies, biotechnology companies, chemical companies, and even electronics companies. Aside from the programs, they also provide professional services including custom software development and training, computer cluster design and implementation, and research-based drug discovery projects. The company is quite different from the ones that make up the rest of the top 10 positions of the portfolio, and this might be why it only occupies 1.73% of the portfolio. The third largest holding might surprise you, but it makes absolute sense considering the diversified and defensive strategy behind the whole portfolio. With over 17.1 million shares valued at around $1.5 billion, the Canadian National Railway Company makes up 7.6% of the portfolio. This gigantic railway company covers 20,000 miles of railroad track across Canada and the US and plays an essential role of freight and thus the economy of not just North America, but a lot of countries all around the globe. And since we will continue to need to have goods transported, this is another smart investment that will continue to perform and preserve the foundation's wealth for a long time. Coming in at number 7 is a company called Ecolab. This American company is a global provider of water, hygiene, and infection prevention solutions and services to the food, healthcare, hospitality, and industrial markets. They offer an incredibly wide-ranging list of products and services for all kinds of industries and businesses. For example, if you're in the food and beverage industry, they can provide you with things such as bottle washing solutions or cleaning and sanitizing programs, whereas someone in the heavy industry or in mining may benefit from their boiler and cooler water treatment, mine water treatment, analytics, and so on. So Ecolab is providing services for a wide range of industries and has been doing pretty well in recent years, which is probably why it makes up for 3.9% of the foundation's portfolio. Walmart Incorporated is the fourth largest holding in the foundation's portfolio, and with 11.6 million shares at a market value of nearly $1.4 billion, it makes up 7.6% of the portfolio. This company is an absolute giant, with their chain of stores covering all the states in the US, where Walmart has over 5,300 stores, while they have an additional 6,146 internationally. As you probably know, you can find pretty much anything in these stores, from from grocery items and housewares to decor and seasonal merchandise to toys and small appliances. Walmart is an integral part of the US economy, and even though their stores would be affected by a major recession as shoppers would probably spend less on stuff like home decor for instance, people would still have to buy groceries, making this another investment that fits with the all-weather strategy. Next up is Crown Castle, a company that owns around 40,000 traditional cell towers as well as over 80,000 miles of fiber routes, and they even own small cell nodes, which is especially interesting in the light of the 5G network being deployed worldwide. Crown Castle currently owns over 70,000, but this number will increase in the upcoming years and decades, meaning the company will continue to grow along with the entire industry. Considering that we will continue to use our smartphones and continue to buy our phone plans regardless of what state the economy is in, this one is a more defensive move. Crown Castle will likely see a lot of growth in the next couple of decades simply because it operates in the right industry, which is why this one is a pretty safe bet. Gates' foundation owns 5.3 million shares in the company worth $770 million, which equates to 4.4% of the portfolio.